Chris Stirewalt with us now, NewsNation political editor, just named as the host of The Hill Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, debuting March 3rd. We're going to still be talking about Nikki Haley on March 3rd?
Well, the voters of New Hampshire will get to decide that tomorrow.
Oh, come on, give me something more than that.
Well, look, I don't want to be as quick to talking points as Governor Haley was.
That would be impossible.
In your interview. It is an admirable and iron will to stay on message, which is actually what it takes, right? It's what it takes because you can't mess up. You can't mess up right now as the grains of sand are ticking through the hour or passing through the hourglass. But I will tell you this. The very fact that we are within striking distance of Nikki Haley is within striking distance of Donald Trump tells us something about New Hampshire, and it tells us something about the state of the Republican Party. I was struck by that guy who said, talking to you, I feel like I live in Mississippi, right? And apologies to Mississippi that this guy in New Hampshire feels that way, but what he's saying is, we're different from the rest of the Republican Party. We're not like the Republicans in the Deep South. We're not like the Republicans in my home state of West Virginia. We're not like those Republicans. We're New Hampshire Republicans. We're weird. We're different kinds of Republicans. We are Chris Sununu Republicans.
We see him with the governor here, very popular governor.
And as you traveled around the state, you met a lot of people who were Joe Biden, Chris Sununu voters, right? You met a lot of people who in 2018 very happily voted for Chris Sununu, and then in 2020 voted for Joe Biden. And those are the very voters that Nikki Haley's going to need to turn out. And that's why she can't ever say, yeah, we're behind her, it's over, because she needs guys like that who want to send a message to Donald Trump. She needs them to turn out.
You and I were in the hotel on a snowy morning on Saturday morning, and you remarked that you had driven around New Hampshire. And you had never before at a primary felt less enthusiasm, less energy. Yet the Secretary of State suggests that there's going to be 322,000 to turn out in the Republican primary, which would be an overwhelming record number.
That is a wild number. That is a...
What are they seeing or not, you think?
Well, look, I went back. I was so stunned when you gave me that number.
Let me just say this. This was one of the great moments of my career that I could stun Chris Stirewalt about politics.
And I thought, well, this Secretary of State's just, you know, in New Hampshire, they make a big deal about it. They get very excited about their turnout. We have big turnout. They're proud that they turn out more than in other states, da-da-da-da-da. Now, I thought, well, this guy's just blowing smoke rings, right? He's trying to talk turnout up. So I went back and looked at his forecast for 2016. And you know what I found? He was good. He was real good in 2016. Now, he's looking at things like requests for absentee ballots, new registration. He's also just using his experience and his hunch. I will say this. If I'm Nikki Haley and I see voter turnout of anything like that, I'm thrilled. Yeah. I'm thrilled because you need the new vote. You need basically Nikki Haley's looking for a rematch of 2016. She wants a 2016 rematch, but instead of the Jeb exclamation point and the Kasich vote and the Rubio vote, that she wants to be all of those votes in one place. And if she can get a turnout bigger even than it was in 2016, then she has a chance for that actually to be true.
One more soundbite from a voter, and this was, and I didn't think this exists, we may have found the unicorn, which was a DeSantis voter turned Haley.
Yeah.
Take a listen.
I voted for Donald Trump twice in the general election, and if forced to, I will again, because I have no choice. But I'm hoping Nikki Haley can do well.
So many of the people that we interviewed like Trump. They don't like him. They like his policies. They don't like him. Or they were people like Jackie who were Biden voters or independent voters who were rabidly anti-Trump, but not necessarily pro-Nikki. Is being the alternative to someone that people highly dislike enough to win?
Well, in many of our elections, that's true. If you think about people like the House Republican Freedom Caucus, you think about Ted Cruz's candidacy of 2016, there is a wing of the Republican Party that is not only very conservative, and I mean in the traditional sense of conservative, small government and all of that, But in addition to that, they're culturally conservative, they're socially conservative. They're not Donald Trump kind of people. They were Ted Cruz people. They're Freedom Caucus kind of people. And they don't want it to be Donald Trump. So they said, okay, I can do DeSantis because he's not part of the establishment. He's not part of the coastal elite. He's not part of whatever. But all of the voters, I guess I'll put it this way. Ron DeSantis already gave back all the voters to Donald Trump that were going to go back to Donald Trump. So now as you get down to that last little nub, and here in New Hampshire, it's a very small nub of DeSantis voters. What is it, 8%, 6%? Of those, if they were going to go back to Trump, they probably already would have gone back to Trump. So she'll get a couple. She'll get a couple of those guys.
All right. Be fun tomorrow night.
Good luck. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.